Today we are gonna make God's eyes from some sticks, a rubber band, and the most important ingredient, yarn. Let's get going.
Hello, my talented artists.
Forget to subscribe. The Huichol people who lived in the mountains made God's eyes to watch over them. They called them Ojos de Dios. They were woven onto crisscrossing sticks that joined in the center. The center eye represented the sun and stood for the power of seeing and understanding things we normally cannot see. The Huichol, also known as the Huichol people, are indigenous to Mexico, really the mountains, the Sierra Madres in Mexico. The United Mexican States, commonly known as Mexico, is the southernmost country in North America, just below the United States of America. Mexico has so many mountains. You will not believe that they have 47,539 mountains that they've named.
Wow!
Here's a cool map that shows the topography of Mexico. You can see just how mountainous a country it is. I got sidetracked by all the cool Mexican mountains. Yep, let's get back to God's eyes and the Huichol people. They have a unique culture that they've maintained for hundreds of years, and it's deeply rooted in spirituality and tradition, which includes vibrant art forms like yarn paintings, beadwork, and what we're going to do today, God's eyes, Ojos de Dios. Today we've seen a lot of Huichol people dressed in traditional clothing. But it's also important to remember that while Mexico, like countries all over the world, have a rich and cultural heritage, Mexico is a modern country with infrastructure, international and national airports, well-developed transportation systems, and many beautiful museums. Everyone will begin with 2 popsicle sticks, and I will probably have attached them together depending on your age. But if I haven't attached them together, I'm going to show you how to do that now. You want to hold it like a plus sign and then stretch out your rubber band and put it over 2 of the sticks that are next to each other. Then hold it in place with your thumb, and you're going to take the back and twist it and then put it over a different 2. So different 2 stickers. So you're going to make an X in the middle like that with the rubber band, but you might want to center your popsicle stick. Then hold the rubber band in place with your thumb. So then you stretch the back of the rubber band, take 2 fingers, twist it again. And then you have to go to the next 2 sticks. You don't want to do the same 2 over and over. Hold it tight, twist, and then do the next 2. So you're like taking turns until it's all together. Now, if you look at this, this isn't even. So I'm going to just gently slide this over until it's even. Does that look good? Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Now we're going to start with our first color yarn. Now we're going to start with our first colored yarn. You're going to pick a color, you're going to take the very end of the yarn and you're going to put it over the rubber band center, and you're going to hold that with your thumb, and all you're going to do is wrap it. So you're going to go wrap, wrap, and then once you've wrapped that direction a few times, then you're going to turn and you're going to wrap this direction a few times. You don't want it to just bulge and be a big bulge. You want it to line up next to each other. The goal is to cover the rubber band. So you're just going to line them up and I think I need to turn it, try to get that blue covered. So let's see if I can do that. I'm going to go up and over. I'm going to try to go right next to that one. And you can see that if you slow down, slow and low, that is the tempo. If you want to be neat, you gotta go slow. If you slow down, then you're going to be neater. Okay, once you've covered your rubber band.
Me cover the rubber band now.
You can check your yarn. If you need to add more yarn, you can add another piece, which I'll show you in a little bit. But so you have enough yarn. This is what you're doing. You're going over 2 sticks and then wrap it on that second one. So it's like you're over this one again and then wrap it on the next one. Now, I was watching another person teach this, and she said it a different way, and I think that it's nice to have different ways to teach the same thing. So I'm going to say it that way. All you're doing is you're wrapping it around each stick. So you're going this stick, wrap it around. Then you're going to the next stick, wrap it around. Next stick, wrap it around. You always want to end up at the top. So you're basically just going around and under, and then you're moving to the next stick. And you can see that you want the yarn on top of both sticks. You must slow down to get this smooth lineup of the yarns right next to each other. So you also have to aim. So you have to aim in PE too for many different things. And in art, you need to look and aim. So I'm really trying to line it up, and I'm being aware of my yarn. It looks like I'm coming to the end. Okay, so you might wrap it until you don't have much, and then you might need to unwrap it. You need about 6 inches of yarn, maybe 7. And then I want you to pick your next color, and you have to think about what you want it to look like. You might want it to be low contrast and pick a color that harmonizes, or you might want to pick something that's high contrast. I think that I'm going to pick a high contrast. It looks like this yarn is a little bit frayed at the edge like that. That's called being frayed. So I'm just going to trim that little bit off. And when I trim yarn, I kind of pull it and I make sure it goes to the edge and I slowly cut it like that. It can be a little tricky learning to cut yarn. Now, to tie them together, we're going to lay them next to each other, put them next to each other like that, and then we're just going to wrap them together in a loop like that, and then we're going to have the ends go under and through that loop. And here's the fun thing. You don't have to do it again. That is enough of a knot. Don't trim this. You're going to use this later. At the very end, you'll see if you want to trim it. When I was your age, a few times I trimmed yarn or thread too close to the knot, and then the knot came undone. Do not trim it too close to the knot. Let's keep going. I'm going to go around this one and to the next stick. Always keeping the yarn on top, except when you're wrapping. Around the next one. So I'm just going around each stick, around the back, right? Now I'm coming to the knot. So this knot will show if I just do it that way. And I don't want the knot in the front. I want it in the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to wrap it around twice, and then it hides it. Another thing you can do, so I'm actually going to go back a little bit to the next one, and then I'm going to go across 2 sticks, and then I'm going to start wrapping it. So I'm wrapping it, and now you can really see that the yarn is going over 2 sticks and then wrapping around, over 2 sticks and wrapping around, and that the yarn is laying right next to the last yarn. So that's why you have to slow down and aim. If you come across trouble and it starts to not look right, who are you going to call? That's right, Ghostbusters. Or me, or your teacher, whoever's there to help you. Let's speed this up. Now, I want to have a third color. You can just have two, but make sure you go at least up to about there. So I'm not going to use all of this. I'm going to cut it about there, hold it like that. I pull it and I make sure it's pretty deep into the scissor and then slowly cut it. Now what do I do, folks? How do I tie these two colors together? Right, so I make a loop with both of them together. Then what do I do? Yep, I take it and I need to go under and pull those two ends out. And I made a knot. Now if you see if one's a little bit fluffier than another, the yellow's a little fluffier, so I'm going to pull that yellow tighter. That will make a nice secure knot. Now I am ready to keep up. This knot goes right in the front. How should I solve that problem? Good problem solving discussion. Here's another way to solve that problem. You can wrap it until it gets behind on that same stick and then just keep going. Okay, when you get to the end, wrap it around and then go behind. Find a piece of yarn sticking out that is not right next to it because it won't be tight. So find it one that's the furthest away and then just tie what we like to call a shoelace knot. I'm sure it's not really called a shoelace knot, but we learned that in 3rd grade when we're doing embroidery. This is one knot you should tie twice. And the nice thing is you have a little string in the back. You can hang it on the wall or hang it on a hook. But now is the time that you can trim these, or you can tuck them. I'm going to tuck mine because that one's sort of close to the edge, so I'm going to tuck it under that string. There, I made a beautiful little God's eye. I can't wait to see what you do.